So this is KFM 94.5 Women Crush Wednesday, one of my favorite days of the week. It seems like all the days of the week is my favorite day of the week, but that's because I get to chat to incredible people. Now, one of them is the chairperson of Hannah's Place of Safety, Janine Fabe. Janine, we've known each other for many years, but for the first time we are sitting and knitting together. Welcome.
Thank you, and I'm taking up the challenge of knitting. I haven't done any knitting since I was standard 3.
Many, many years ago. Let's speak a little bit about how you started Hannah's Place of Safety, because you started in the fashion industry, isn't that correct?
That's correct. I was in the fashion industry for about 20 years, and my forte was working with handbags and shoes, and now I work with babies.
How did that transition happen?
I think it was always something that I wanted to do, and then when we adopted Hannah, it just really kicked in. I did lots of voluntary work at children's homes, and that's where I met Hannah, and she's over there in studio.
Yeah, Hannah's also here.
Yeah,
yes.
so it sort of just urged me on to continue doing something for children, not thinking that I was going to end up having my own place of safety at the end of the day, and we're talking 6 years later. And this is where we are at the moment. But I think, Tracey, that it's always sort of been part of my DNA. You know, Dad was an orphan his whole life. And I think that sort of just became part of my DNA. And I wanted to make a difference in children's lives. I didn't want to see more children go through what my dad went through. He was in a children's home from age 5, and he only left when he was 18 years old.
Wow.
So family blocks and building blocks were definitely missing. And growing up with my dad, I saw the repercussion of that. And I wanted to make a difference in children's lives, that they don't end up in children's homes. Children's homes are not bad, Tracey.
No, they're not.
They're not.
No, they're
not bad. I'm talking about foundation.
Yes.
I'm talking about the one-on-one interaction and knowing what it is to have family. Family is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it to have ma and pa and aunt and cousins and have fun and go out and have sleepovers and, you know. So that's the type of thing that I want for children. So we work with babies, and the destination for our babies is definitely family.
Oh, I love the sound of that. But listen, from helping out at children's homes and doing whatever it is you can there on a voluntary basis to starting your own place of safety is a very different situation.
Absolutely.
So you've stepped away from your normal day job. This is what you do full time.
This is what I do full time. This is what I've been doing for the past 6 years. And it's a whole lot more difficult than handbags and shoes.
Yes, I can absolutely imagine. So Hannah's Place of Safety, how does it operate? What is it that you do exactly?
Okay, so what I do exactly is we work with the Department of Social Development, and we render a service to children who are in need of care and protection. So care and protection is basically, we work with babies. So it's babies that have been abandoned, neglected, abused, and those type of kids are in need of care and protection. So we get the call to ask, do we have space for a baby? Because we work with babies up to age 1. And if we have the space, we say yes. And so the social workers and I start talking about the baby placement. We go and fetch the babies at the destination, whether it be a hospital or a child removal. And then they stay with us for between 3 and 6 months at a time. And there's obviously still a court process that needs to take place. So once the baby is placed with you today, the very next morning we have to be at court, and we have to stand in front of a magistrate, and we have to have all our paperwork in order, police clearance, child protection clearance. Your house has to be screened that the place is fit and proper for children to stay in. So there's a whole process that you have to go through. The children that we work with are all born from drug-dependent parents.
Sure.
So those babies go through the withdrawal process.
Yes.
They do.
That must be incredibly rough. Before we get there, let's speak about how many babies you can house at a time.
Okay, so we can house comfortably 10 babies at a time. And you know, when you have one baby, it's hectic.
How many people do you have working with you?
We have a staff rotation of 11. So we have 4 staff during the day, and we have 3 at night.
Oh my gosh.
And then me, of course, doing the admin and trying to find things to make the place work and stay open.
Yes, to do everything else still. So
Yes.
that's not a lot of people, because it's different if you're going, that's 11 people and all 11, they are there all the time just for the baby. So that's one person per baby and a bit extra, right?
Yeah.
But that is rough. You've got to take
It's
care
rough.
of all of these babies who need a lot, and they're going through the withdrawal symptoms.
Yes.
What is that like?
The withdrawal symptoms is hard and it's tough. So let's just say we talk about a baby who's born from a mom who's a heroin addict. So that baby will generally stay in hospital for the first 7 days. That baby is going through the process in hospital and is put on morphine or methadone to bring the baby down. When they leave the hospital, there is no medication. We have to sit with the rest, the jitters, the shaking, the crying. You think that they're crying for milk? No, they're actually crying because they're craving a substance. And so what do? We just patch it up with some colic medication. The best colic medication we can find, that's what we give them. So it's your Telemin drops, it's colics, it's colic calm. And so we treat it the same way because their tummies are cramping. Like I say, lots of crying, but we are sort of tuned in where the cries are not cries. Yes, we hear the cries,
Yes.
and we sort of convert that to music. So when they all are crying, sometimes there's 4 of them crying at one time, and then we would always say, the band has struck up. What song are we singing today?
Listen, but that's a gift of someone who loves and who just understands babies, because it's like a mother who knows. They just go, the
Yes.
baby cries, and they go at some point, no, I know that's not a serious cry.
Yeah.
Nothing to worry about. Let the lungs strengthen, that
Yes,
kind of thing.
yes.
But I'm sure there's a lot that you have to deal with. So if you're saying you keep the babies up until a year, right?
6 months.
6 months, sorry,
Yeah.
6 months.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 6 months, then you need to let those babies go. Does that ever get easier? I'm sure the first few were incredibly tough.
It doesn't get easier, but we tend to understand a little bit more. So now that I've been, let's just say, the industry, or what I'm doing for 6 years, I understand a bit more in terms of where are these babies going to. If we know that the baby is going up for adoption, wonderful. If we know if a baby is going up to foster care, wonderful. But we need to know those foster care parents. So we get to interact with the foster care parents a little bit before the baby's placed. How do we do that? So we've got the staff, and then we've got the volunteers. So we've got people that we put through the volunteer process. But there's a method to the madness. So you volunteer, and eventually you're going to ask me about foster care. So now you're completely brainwashed. You're completely brainwashed. And you're now going to take up the foster care challenge. And so we know you. And so now we can say, hey, you know what? Tracey's been volunteering here for about 6 months. And we've got baby A that's going to be needing a family. And because I know her and she's gone through the paper process, she's halfway there. So now I introduce you to the social worker. And now the social worker does her bit of screening further. And I can stand there and say, I know Tracey, and I know my baby's going to be fine.
This is amazing. Janine, I think I can speak to you for a very, very long time. But if people want to find out more about Hannah's Place of Safety, where can they go?
Our Facebook is the most active thing ever. So you can just go onto our Facebook page. It's Hannah's Place of Safety. Go into the inbox and just say, I'm interested in volunteering, or I'm interested in foster care. Can we chat? And so I chat to you on the inbox. At some point, we're going to start meeting each other, and we go from there. I introduce you to this wonderful thing we call the system. I hate the system. So I work over the system, under the system, through the system to ensure that children have better futures. Yeah.
Janine, you are incredible. Janine Fabe, chairperson for Hannah's Place of Safety. My woman crush for today. Thank you very much for popping in and knitting with me.
Thank you. I did 3 rows.
Well done. Well done. That's better than me because I ran out of yarn.
The most music to make you feel great with Tracey Lange.
KFM 94.5.
KFM